will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States of America, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family. Name a special prosecutor.
So he's gonna do a special prosecutor. They're gonna get Biden once Biden's not president anymore, and the crowd goes wild. Lock him up, lock him up. I only play that both to remind you of sort of the stakes of Donald Trump becoming president. For Biden, I don't particularly care about that too much, but this is a guy who definitely believes that government can and should be weaponized against your political opponents. He is saying, I'm gonna go after my political opponents once they're not president anymore, and the crowd loves it, which is a reminder that they do not actually think that it is illegitimate to investigate former presidents. In fact, they're very enthusiastic fans of the idea. So it's weird that they're so frustrated with what's going on right now. Anyway, he's promising revenge, JR. He's promising it. He doesn't keep a lot of his promises. I think this one might.
Yeah, it's almost like logic doesn't apply here. It's been their main defense. It's like the weaponization of our country. They had hearings on it, bro. They had congressional hearings about the weaponization of the justice system in our country to come after certain political figures only. And the lock her, him, it up chant has been going on for years. That's the main vein of everything that they've ever talked about. If we can't lock them up, let's go attack them. If we can't attack them, let's send someone else to attack them. It's all violence, aggression, and coming for someone. And then finally, when there's evidence behind something, potentially for one person, being this one, it's look what's going on with our justice system. This isn't America. We're a third world country. What kind of president and former president wants to go after their political opponents solely based on the fact that they're political opponents? Yo, check out these investigations into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. I haven't talked about them because I'm still waiting for the evidence, which we still haven't seen. Comer's talking about it. The old man. I'm blanking on his name. They're all coming up with these empty expressions of how they found all this dirt on Joe Biden, videotapes, audio tapes, everything is popping up. We don't really see it. Maybe it's illegitimate. We don't know yet. This is the basis for their investigations. That's why nothing has come up yet. And one more time, if Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, anybody else you want to name that you hate has broken laws, I'm not sacrificing myself or giving them a bunch of money because I supported their policies before. But for some reason you will.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, good. Joe Biden's not my grandpa. I don't. If he did it, if he did it and it's on tape or whatever, then let's see that. Anyway, we haven't yet. That said, the vows of revenge were not just about investigating Joe Biden. He has a more immediate target in mind. Take a look at this.
He's a raging and uncontrolled Trump hater, as is his wife, who also happened to be the producer of that Michelle Obama puff piece. It was total puff piece. This is the guy I've got.
That is Donald Trump attacking Jack Smith, the special counsel who is investigating him or was investigating him. Donald Trump was apparently warned by allies, by aides, to not publicly attack Jack Smith, that it would not help him and in fact could hurt him. And clearly he decided to go in a different direction. That was not the most vicious attack that he's made against Jack Smith. He's called him a psycho and a bunch of other stuff. But once again, he did focus his attention just as much on the family of Jack Smith as on him, because Jack Smith's wife made a documentary or something. Again, if he appoints a special counsel to investigate Biden in a few years and that person made a documentary about about how awesome Steve Bannon was, I have a feeling they're gonna be perfectly fine with it. So again, this is not a principle that the crowd is expressing. They just don't like this particular guy because he's investigating Donald Trump. But the idea of publicly attacking this guy, of putting so much focus on the family members when he knows the content of his audience, not great. I don't like it. I'll remind you that in social media posts, public remarks, close allies of Trump, including a member of Congress, we've talked about Andy Biggs, have portrayed the indictment as an act of war, called for retribution, and highlighted the fact that much of his base carries weapons. That's Kerry Lake right there. And experts on political violence warn that attacks against people or institutions become more likely, in fact, when elected officials or prominent media figures are able to issue threats or calls for violence with impunity, which is that's the status quo. That's where we're at right now. You can make these threats, specific ones, violent ones, and nothing will happen to you. And that's the prominent people. They're not the ones, of course, who are gonna do the attacking. They're just hoping to gin up the randos to do it. And those randos are getting ready. On far-right websites, people shared tactics and techniques for attacking the building that they had the arraignment, discussed building gallows, trapping lawmakers in tunnels. On Instagram, Kimberly Guilfoyle posted a photo of Trump with the words "retribution is coming." Pete Santilli, by the way, who has a talk show, he declared that if he were the commandant of the Marine Corps, he just narrowly missed it too, I bet. He would order every single Marine assigned to the Marine Corps barracks to grab President Biden, throw him in zip ties in the back of a pickup truck and get him out of the White House. There he is specifically going out of his way to use the same sort of like binding technique that the people who tried to overthrow the US government on January 6th did. It's not a coincidence. One of his guests said that if it were legal and he had access, he would probably walk in and shoot General Mark Milley. So they're just openly fantasizing about who they would illegally lock up and who they would murder. And that's perfectly cool. There's no problem with that, JR.
He said if it was legal or if he had access, he'd walk in and shoot him. So what would make it legal to walk in and shoot someone? What circumstance would it be illegal to walk in and shoot someone? And again, as Kimberly Guilfoyle also posted, vengeance or retribution. It's just revenge. So what part of this judicial system that they want to defund because of this normal process would then result in vengeance? That's third world country type of stuff. The same stuff they keep talking about is happening. And look, our country's in decline, wannabe dictator, all these things that they're pushing and going through all this process for, it's 100% what they're calling for. And I still don't know how the folks who are following it don't see it's exactly what they're doing and it's what they're a part of. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's dark. And again, they're not gonna do it. Like that dude, if he walked in and a general gave him a stern look, he'd pee his pants. But he is hoping to inspire others to more violent action.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.